Hello, my name is Zachary Hogan, also known as IZXTG. You can find me on social media, and this video is proudly brought to you by Start With Trading, where we help you relax, rejuvenate, and realize how powerful of an individual you can be when it comes to trading successfully. So we're going to start off as always here on Forex Factory. This is going to be the weekly outlook for the 19th to the 24th of March. So we'll go ahead, we'll apply our settings, and let's see what exactly we have for this week. On Sunday, we do have a bank holiday for the Japanese yen. Moving forward, Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we have the monetary policy meeting minutes on the Australian dollar. Tuesday morning, we have a little bit of news to look forward to on the British pound. Also on the Canadian dollar, with the GDT price index tentatively coming out on the New Zealand dollar. Now, Wednesday, things do get a little bit more interesting. We have crude oil inventories as well as the official cash rate here for the New Zealand dollar. So the NZD is basically the last major country to actually go ahead and make their interest rate statement. So we can go ahead and expect some volatility on these NZD pairs. And looking at Thursday, we're going to be seeing some British pound news in the morning, some US dollar news, followed up by Yellen speaking at 8:45. So literally right as New York is opening Thursday morning, we have some high impact news to potentially look forward to. And then finishing up on Friday, we have some Canadian and US dollar news at 8:30 that could potentially impact the market, but we're just going to have to see what exactly happens. You know, we've had quite a interesting week. There's been a lot of movement in, just looking back from the 12th to the 17th, we had literally several, I believe it was 3 or 4 major banks making their rate statements, and there was really a lot of movement in the market. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to jump onto the charts here, and we're going to first take a look at the dollar index. Now, the dollar index, this is a currency future essentially for the US dollar. We're not looking at two pairs like the USDCAD, for example. We're just strictly looking at the dollar. And you can do this for basically every currency. You can go and you can look at the British pound. You can look at the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the euro, whatever it is that you wish to see. You just got to make sure that your charting platform offers it. Now, keep in mind, a lot of MetaTrader 4 based brokerages do not offer you the ability to trade currency futures. So if you do want to go that route, I would look into platforms like NinjaTrader and, just really do your due diligence when it comes to finding a broker, because trading on currency futures is a bit different than if you're trading Forex currency pairs, for example. However, it's key to note that the movement that happens here on these currency futures, regardless of what it is definitely going to be seen and felt within the Forex market. So on the dollar index right now, we can see, if I go ahead and just zoom back out, that since 2011, basically, we've been having quite an uptrend. We started off around the 73 cent mark, and we've just been uptrending up to that 100 level now. And if I want to go ahead and just scroll back right now, you can see the low in the last 20 years has been at that 70.698 level. So what could this mean? If we want to go ahead and we want to take a look at the weekly, we can see clearly that's the low. The high is back here in 2001, and that's up at 121.02. Keep in mind, this is just data that I'm getting through TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim. Your charting platform may or may not be a little bit different, and you may or may not get more data than I do. Although it's saying that it's giving me the last 20 years, we're in 2017 and I can only see up until 2000. So we are missing a few years. If we look here on the weekly, we can see that we had quite a bearish week on the US dollar, and I believe that the bearish trend is going to continue on the dollar index specifically. We can make a note here that we have this gap. I'll go ahead and highlight it for you with a little rectangle just so that it's easier to see. And it would not surprise me to see price come down below this gap. If I wanted to put up a price level for where I am speculating we will see the dollar index head towards this 95 level right here, potentially even all the way down to the 90 zone. So I'll just put these up here. I'm not going to label them too crazily right now. If I want to go ahead, just show you the monthly, it's always good to get an idea of the bigger picture. You can see that we've had quite a bit of difficulty really getting beyond this 100 level. And the next point of interest, if we were to continue the bullish movement, would be up here at this 107, 108 range potentially. So I'll go ahead and I'll put one more price level on there just so that we can come back and we can take a look at this later and see what exactly happened. Now, while we're looking at this chart, many traders, when they're learning what they should be looking for, the first thing you're going to hear about is M's and W's most likely. And while yes, it's true, the market likes to move and make those formations, it's really only because the market can go one of three ways. It can go up, it can go down, and it can go sideways. So it's natural that you're going to get on the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the hourly, the daily, weekly, the monthly patterns that look like an M or a W, and you're going to be able to notice certain tendencies that really give you high probability scenarios depending on what it is that you use for your trading style, as well as what it is that you do consistently to grow your knowledge when it comes to trading. So with the dollar index in mind, again, my bias is to the downside. I am bearish on the USD specifically, so anything with the US dollar as a base currency, I will be looking for shorts, and anything with the USD as a quote, I will be looking to potentially go long. So what does that mean? Basically, I'm going to be changing, as always, the way that I present these weekly outlooks to you, and I hope that you find the new style helpful. I'm still going to be analyzing price levels. However, when it comes to making note of what I'm specifically going to do, for example, if we're talking about a pair such as the British pound and the US dollar, now that's a pair that I'm still heavily bullish on. You will see why very shortly, but keep in mind, because I am bullish, I'm only going to be looking for buys. I'm not going to be trying to make money when it goes both ways, catching the up and downs, and I'm not going to not be trying to always be in the market. If I'm bullish on a pair, I'm looking for buys. I'm looking for when it does that pullback, when I get my confirmation and I can confidently enter that trade. And I'm not going to trade against a trend in that kind of way because it just doesn't make sense. If you have a speculation that a certain asset is going to appreciate in value over time, why would you look to sell it? Wouldn't it make more sense to find an optimal time to buy it, rather than going through unnecessary drawdown and just the challenges of trying to find the best entry point? It's much easier to see a clear trend direction and really just jump in on the action once you get a solid confirmation. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and hop over to the US dollar Canadian, and we're going to start the weekly outlook for this week officially. Now with the USDCAD, last week we were bullish on this pair, and that was actually before things really started happening on Wednesday. And you can see here clearly that Wednesday was a very, very bearish day. I was looking for buys on the USDCAD and I was actually stopped out. As you remember, we were looking for bullish confirmation at this 134 level. We went beyond that by about 100 pips, and that was just a little bit beyond my limits. So I got stopped out. We closed the week at the 133.5 level. However, because of my new speculation on the dollar index, I am bearish again on the US dollar Canadian. So where could we put our new weekly target for this upcoming week? I feel that the 132 level is a very solid place to put it because it's about 150 pips away. It's in a psychological level, and you can see here that with our confirmation zones, what we're going to be looking to do is a few things. First, we're going to be targeting the 1.325 area for any potential bearish confirmation. So let me go ahead, I'm going to just switch up this. $1.342 for potential bearish confirmation right there, and any bullish action that we may get, I could see that happening around the 1.325 level. So literally, let me just go ahead, I will put up a price level. We don't necessarily need that zone anymore, so let me go ahead, add this in. Bullish confirmation at the 1.325. So remember, because I am bearish on this asset, I'm not necessarily going to be looking for buys right now until I get some indication that the trend could be continuing to the upside, and that's something that as a premium student you're going to get access to as part of your trading development in that educational experience, where I share with you those real-time updates of if my bias has changed and why, rather than needing to wait on these weekly updates. So you can feel free to click the links in the description, inquire about it, and more than anything, just reach out to me with your questions. I'm happy to help along the journey. Now, with the US dollar Canadian, as you can see, we have one price level of interest down here at the 1.3 level. However, I feel like that could still be very relevant. We're going to just leave it there right now, but we do have a secondary price level of interest at our target. So it is about 150 pips away. In the event where we do get bearish confirmation up here, that's still about 70 pips away, I believe. Let me just double check for good measure. About 68.5, 70. So we'll just say 70 pips for the ease of it. Where would I put my stop loss potentially if I was looking to enter this trade? Up here on the bearish confirmation. Now let's just assume I entered at 1.344. I would look to go 30 to 50 pips beyond that, and that's just because it's part of my risk management, making sure that I am putting my lot sizes appropriately, of course, and with the trade entries and exits in mind. These confirmation levels that I'm displaying for all of you ladies and gentlemen is really just to give you a little bit more insight on why I'm thinking in a specific way when I'm looking at the market. So we are here. This is really all that needs to be updated on the USDCAD. I feel this bullish price level of interest up at 137, I feel like that's the only level that makes sense right now in the event that the bullish movement did continue. And if we want to go and look at the weekly, I mean, we had an engulfing candle. We have a lot of trading that has gone lower into that 133 range, as I had mentioned. And you can see here, even on the monthly, that although we have had quite a bullish month overall, we haven't been able to surpass this 38.2. We haven't even gotten up to that 136 level just yet, and we are looking to potentially be coming all the way back down and the low of this month was actually formed through what happened on Wednesday with the federal funds rate. If you haven't been up to date with the market, just to fill you in really quickly, the US dollar, what happened is they raised the interest rates by 0.25%. So it was forecasted that there was going to be a hike, and typically that's supposed to be a sign that the economy is doing well, right? But in the market, people acted very radically when they saw this information. A lot of people were already planning for this, and a lot of traders had already taken their positions to capitalize on this. And you'll be able to see some of our weekly targets that were achieved on that same day of the rate hikes. USDCAD, it was a trade that we got stopped out on, but it's okay. We move on, we accept it, and we learn from it at the end of the day. Let's go ahead, let's check out the USDJPY now, because that is one of the pairs that I am still trading, and we are on the monthly right now. So you can see that, again, we've had a very large amount of bullish movement here on the month, about 300 pips from where we are right now, but we're basically right back where we opened the month, and I can see this going lower. I am bearish on this asset. If we want to go ahead, just take a look at what happened last week. You can see, again, another big engulfing right down to our bear price level of interest. We missed it by about 6.5 pips. So with that being said, what could we be looking forward to potentially with this upcoming week? Now on the USDJPY, I'm going to put the weekly target down at 111.5, and that's just because it's a price level that makes sense. It is a price that we have used in a previous weekly outlook, and it is in confluence with our zone, as well as the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement level. So really just pay attention to what's happening. Again, I'm not necessarily forecasting this to be a very volatile week, but we're definitely going to see and experience some movement as always. Now, what could we be looking for as potential bullish and bearish price levels? Looking to get any confirmations. On the bullish side, I feel like any potential rejection that we get that could push the move back up to the upside would come in at this whole 111.9 level. It's about 60 pips away, so at the end of the day, it's not out of reach by any means. I do feel like we will continue past this bear price level of interest. Would not be surprised if we come down to the weekly target before getting some bullish rejection. And on the bearish side, if we were looking for an optimal entry to sell, I personally am going to be taking a closer look once price gets back up to that whole 113.4, 113.5 area, just right at the top of today. Basically, that would have been a very great entry. You could have capitalized on about 70 to 75 pips depending on your entry. So just with the markets, you have to be paying attention, obviously. With our price levels of interest now, with the bear price level of interest basically being achieved, we missed it, like I said, by 6.5 pips. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to update this now to 111, keep that psychology going. And on the bullish side, I feel like the 116 level, that could be a very key indicator that we are going to get more bullish movement in the event that price does make its way up there again. So I'll go ahead, I'll make a note of that. And just have it for reference. So bull price level of interest right at 116, and I'm aware that you can't necessarily see me typing in the variables on the screen. You just see the lines coming after the fact, so I'm going to have to see how exactly I can change that. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to hop over to the AUDUSD. And let's just see what's going on. So on the AUDUSD for this week, I am bullish, and you can clearly see We did have our weekly target down here at the 747 level. We didn't quite get there. We had a low of 74917, and then Wednesday we had a lot of bullish movement right up to our bull price level of interest. So what could we be potentially looking for here on the AU? For our weekly target, I want to go ahead and put this up to 77.7. So 77700, and that is our weekly target for 0324. Ahead, make it green just so that it's representative of the bull movement. And our price level of interest, we're going to put that up to 7800. Our bear price level of interest, what we're going to do on that is move it up to 759. And let me just go ahead. For any potential bearish confirmation that we get, I would anticipate it would happen around the 774 level, so right above our 61.8. We haven't really been able to breach that yet. We had one touch of it right here on the 23rd of February up at 77407. So we are approaching these levels again. And if we want to go ahead and take a look at the weekly, we can see we had a very strong bullish week. It engulfed not only the first week of March, but the last week of February as well. And if we want to go ahead and look on the monthly, we did have a lot of bearish movement in here, but we came back strong. In total, the asset, we've moved close to 300 pips. So, I am anticipating higher levels to be seen here on the AUDUSD. If we want to go ahead now and check out the British pound and the dollar, one of my favorite assets, you can see we've had quite a comeback here on the bull side. In total, though, the asset, again, it's moved about 300 pips or so. And if we want to go ahead, let's actually take a look at the weekly together really quickly, just so that you can have a better idea of what's going on. And again, we were anticipating that bullish movement last week. We achieved our weekly target here at 1237. So overall, it was a pretty great week if you were trading the GU with me. And you can see that we had just basically from the 15th on right up until the end of the week, a bunch of bullish movement. If you had entered anytime on Wednesday, even down here at this 1217 level, give or take, if I want to just put on my trend line tool so we can make it easy, there's been about 220 pips of movement potentially, depending of course on when you entered and whatnot. So what could we be anticipating next on the GBPUSD? The next price level that I have on my sites is about 1253. So let me go ahead, I'll move that up there, our weekly target. Any bearish confirmation that we get, I would expect to see that around the 124600 levels. You can see there's been a lot of trading through here very in the frequent past, and for any potential bullish confirmation, if we're looking to get an optimal entry on our buys, you can see we didn't quite get down to our confirmation level last week, but again, it's just about adapting and taking advantage of the opportunities as they arise, regardless of if it gives you that exact to the pip confirmation. And we saw that even on the EURUSD the other week. And we will be taking a look at that in a minute, but any potential entries that we could be looking for, I feel like it would be higher probability to see it come down to the 1232, even the 1234 range. And that's just basically all through here at the low of today on Friday, just above all of this stuff. So even to see it dip down into like 1229 would not be surprising at all. So just account for that. The GBP is a very volatile pair in my opinion. It is one that I love trading though, and we are long-term bullish on this. I am anticipating at least this 1.3 level before we really see what happens after that. But again, just all about that adaptation. Now let's take a look at the New Zealand dollar and the US dollar. We were bearish on this pair last week as well, and you can see we didn't necessarily reach our weekly target. We didn't even really get any bearish confirmation. I mean, we had this huge bull movement on the 15th, and then on the 16th we had a little bit of bearish movement happening, and we, on this asset, it wasn't too crazy of a week. There was still about 100 pips of movement. It was nice, but what could we look for potentially with this upcoming week? Now, we need to remember the NZD, they haven't necessarily released to the public their cash rate statement just yet. So you can see we have an inside bar here on the weekly, but of course our upper wick is a little bit beyond that. And if we want to go ahead and take a look at the monthly, overall we're sitting on our old bearish confirmation level from last week. We've had quite a lot of bearish movement, but we haven't really been able to surpass these lows. So I am bullish on the NZDUSD coming into this week here, and potentially even into the last week of March. We're really just going to have to see where could we be setting our eyes on some targets right now. For this week, I'm going to set my target at 715, and this is a quarter level. It's right by our old area here, and this may not necessarily be the most relevant at this time. If I wanted to update the zone, what I would do, just go ahead, I would remove that drawing, come in here, and I would definitely be considering what was happening all through here. And again, that's just a really quick addition to the charts. It literally takes just a second, and this zone, this upper level, I still feel like it is relevant. I am actually going to be keeping the price level of interest up there, and for any potential confirmations that we could be looking for buys, what I would personally be setting my sights on is if we do drop back down into the 695 range, so not quite at our lower zone, but definitely in the upper limits of these couple of days of trading here. And we're really just gonna have to see what happens, but I do see a bull movement coming on the NZDUSD. We're gonna take a look at the euro real quick with the US dollar, and we had a lot of bullish movement on this pair as well. We didn't quite make it up to our weekly target, but we did get our confirmation we were looking for on the 14th, and then right here on the 15th, a lot of that bullish movement as well on the 16th and the 17th. We got a little bit more, followed by a bearish close to end the day. So with this week in mind, I do want to keep 1.082 as the target. It's still, let's just see, still about 80 pips away, so definitely a lot of potential here on this asset. If I was looking for any buys, where I would be looking personally, not quite as low as we have it, but perhaps about 25-30 pips up at this whole 106.5 area. I could be looking to see how price action reacts in there. For our bear price level of interest, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it down here at the 104 level. Actually, I want to make it a little bit more relevant, so let's move it up to the 105, just move it up 100 pips right to the bottom of the zone, which I do still feel like is a relevant area here of supply. And of course, with our target, I do feel like that's in a great place. Our bull price level of interest, I feel like that's in a good place as well. Any potential bearish movement that we could get, I mean, at this point, I would expect us to at least get up to that 1.08 level, but we will just really have to see what happens. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead, we're going to take one last look at gold. I didn't really do an analysis on this last week, but you can see we did get up to one of our price targets of interest. I still feel like this 1180 zone is relevant, but with my outlook on the dollar index right now, I am more inclined to have a bullish bias on gold. Definitely could have caught a lot of pips. I had one entry at 1199.24, I believe, and we've had a very bullish week on gold overall. If we want to go take a step back, look at the weekly here, you can see we do have a legitimate inside bar happening right now. And if we want to go take a look on the monthly, you know, we have had more bearish trading this month than last month, but we still do have a week and a half, 2 weeks until the end of March. So we're just going to have to see what happens. And with that being said, you know, I definitely appreciate your time. I thank you for watching this video, and let me know in the comments, what are you analyzing this week? Remember that this is speculation, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Make sure that you like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe to the channel for more updates, and reach out to me, you know, inquire about becoming a student. And I do have several flexible packages that are unique to you, because just like this journey, you know, everybody is going to learn differently. So I really want to take that personalized approach with you. Make sure you interpret the information in the most powerful yet simple to follow way, and you'll be able to get even more frequent updates at the end of the day. So I'm very excited, and again, I am grateful to have you as a loyal subscriber here at Start With Trading. So with that being said, I am Zachary Hogan, and I thank you. Have a powerful weekend, and of course, as always, safe and happy trading.